Um, Again, this is not a new alcoholic beverage control license. This is an existing convenience market that's been in this location for over 50 years. There's been an alcohol license associated with this convenience market for that length of time. So this is a continuation of the use. We're not asking for a new ABC license. A little bit of history regarding the business. The current owner purchased the business in 2004. He's operated the business continuously since that point in time. Recently, he converted the business to a 7-Eleven. He's invested over $500,000 into the site to bring it within compliance of 7-Eleven requirements. And if I may say, it's consistent with what we understand the community of the council office would like to see along the boulevard, in the sense that they want to see more nationally oriented retailers coming along the boulevard. They'd like to see more investment, and we're accomplishing both those goals. The description of the site, it's located immediately adjacent, immediately north of the Orange Line, right of way. Along Van Nuys Boulevard on the west side of the street. There's no residential within 700 feet of the site, no single family, no apartments, no condominiums. It's all commercial and industrial surrounding the site. There are no sensitive uses within 1,000 feet of the site. Sensitive uses are defined as parks, churches, schools, things of that nature. There are none. The closest church in the area is approximately 1,400 feet away, and so we don't have any sensitive uses in close proximity. The closest alcoholic beverage control off-sale license is located 600 feet away. This was a question that was posed to us by this body the last time we presented in March. It's located within the same census tract, and it's located 600 feet to the north. And it is part of a mini mart, which is part of a service station along Van Nuys Boulevard on the east side, on the west side of the street, rather. We did a survey of the different census tracts of the area to find out if there were any other licenses in close proximity. There were no licenses immediately to the south. To the south and east, the closest license was 2,500 feet. There are none to the east in the census tract. And essentially, there are no other licenses within 2,500 feet, and most of them being between 25 and 5,000 feet from this location. So there's nothing in close proximity. Again, the building where the convenience market is located was originally constructed in 1945. In 1945, there was no parking requirement. So the building has no on-site parking for the customers that come in. I'm trying to hop skip through this. The building itself, as a result, caters to transit-oriented riders, so transit riders. So individuals that are getting on and off or making changes with respect to the Orange Line and the bus system in the area, they're 90% of our customers. And you know, it exemplifies exactly why. I mean, we have a transit stop which is immediately in front of the business. The Orange Line Van Nuys station is within 200 feet. Directly to the west of us, we have the MTA parking lot for Park and Ride. So we're completely surrounded by transit-oriented uses and supporting uses. Additionally, this is a transit-oriented use. I think these are new terms that are being created, transit-oriented development. People are trying to create these nodes around transportation hubs to try to get more people into public transportation. The mobility element addresses this. Transportation-oriented plans for the City of Los Angeles are addressing this issue. This is a transit-oriented use, and it's critical to ensure that individuals can choose to use public transportation and not limit themselves with respect to getting a cup of coffee or getting an item on their way to work or buying some items when they're coming home from work. Normally people have that flexibility if they're driving their own automobiles, they'll be able to stop in wherever they wish, but if you're taking buses, especially buses in the City of Los Angeles, you find yourself in a position where you don't have those options. And this gives those people, it gives those riders an option, and in turn creates value with respect to people getting out of their cars and into transit. An example of how a transit rider differs from an individual who's driving a vehicle is the sense that they can't carry as much. They can't go shopping. They can't simply buy 4 bags of groceries or 2 bags of groceries for that matter. The typical purchase that a transit rider will make is a single bag of goods, be them sundry items, be them items they'll need for breakfast in the morning, items that they want to take home that evening to enjoy with their dinner or after work. So this accomplishes that. It gives them that flexibility, and it treats them the same as an individual that is getting in their car and has that ability to purchase the items they wish after work. Let me jump to some of the questions that were asked of us by this group in March. And I think that one of the questions had to do with security. We were asked about crime stats in the area. Mm-hmm. And I've had an opportunity to talk to Tony
Kabunik.
Yeah, okay, Kabunik. Yeah,
That's okay.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I spoke to him. I asked him about the crime statistics. He said he would get back in touch with me. I left him another message. I understand how busy these gentlemen are and these ladies are that are senior lead officers. And so I have not gotten the information yet, but I'm still looking to get that information. But I did have the opportunity to go down to the MTA offices. I had a meeting with an MTA official and a representative of the Sheriff's Department who contracts out to MTA for security. Mm-hmm. And my understanding is that these areas are highly policed by MTA. MTA, first and foremost, wants to make sure that riders feel safe. That's the basis of ridership, of transit ridership. If people don't feel safe, they're not going to get on buses, they're not going to get into public transportation. So what MTA has done is they've contracted out with the Sheriff's Department, and they've also contracted out with a private security company that actually monitor the sites. They have undercover officers. They patrol the sites. And as a result, there really is no crime around the Van Nuys station. There's no crime. There are no issues in the parking lots. And I also checked with the senior lead officer, and I also spoke to him about the issues regarding the parking lots, and they had indicated no, there's no break-ins, there's no real issues, is my understanding. The Sheriff's Department does have an understanding with LAPD in the sense that if they see crime going on, if they're passing by the 7-Eleven and they would see crime going on, be it on the sidewalk, be it in another business, they have the ability to stop and they have the ability to deal with that and arrest people or cite people or whatever the case may be. So along with LAPD, you have the Sheriff's Department and you have private security that is provided by MTA that are very active in the area. Additionally, the business owner provides a comprehensive DVR system. That DVR system is both for the interior of the business as well as the exterior. We maintain those images for 60 days for the benefit of the Los Angeles Police Department. And so this is a very, very secure site. In addition, 7-Eleven trains its staff regarding the sale of alcoholic beverages for off-site consumption, specific to off-site consumption, which differs from the other training programs that are available to commercial businesses, retail businesses, such as the LAPD STAR program, as well as the ABC LEAD program. Every employee of 7-Eleven has to go through the 7-Eleven Coming of Age program. And what 7-Eleven does is they ensure that these individuals are trained and they ensure that they actually live up to their requirements by sending in mystery shoppers. These mystery shoppers will purchase alcohol or will purchase different items, and they make sure that the protocol is followed. If somebody is purchasing alcohol and alcohol is scanned, what happens is that the screen on the POS system comes up red, and it identifies that an ID has to be requested of that individual. If they do not do so, in the presence of a mystery shopper that's sent in by 7-Eleven, that employee has to go to retraining the following day. If they do it twice, they're subject to termination. If a 7-Eleven, many people don't know this, and that's why it's as well run and well received, if a 7-Eleven has 2 infractions that are recorded by Alcoholic Beverage Control or LAPD, they can have their license terminated, and frequently do.
By 7-Eleven?
7-Eleven. Yes, exactly.
By 7-Eleven or by ABC?
By 7-Eleven. There are infractions that ABC will suspend the license or take other actions, but 7-Eleven will terminate the franchise agreement, and they have the ability to do so. So it's a very harsh and very expensive punishment, but that's why they maintain compliance, and their franchisees act in a responsible manner, because they have to continue as a 7-Eleven franchise. With respect to a question that was asked regarding ABC disciplinary actions regarding this specific site, since 2004, since the current owner had purchased the business and had the license transferred to him at that point in time, there have been no infractions. There have been no disciplinary action at all. We went back as far as 1989. There was no disciplinary action on the record whatsoever. We'll provide you with that information. In addition to that, I also contacted the Alcoholic Beverage Control Licensing Representative supervisor, who indicated that the information is up to date, which I had found on the internet. I think I've already covered the distance to other off-sale licenses within the surrounding area. Again, the vast majority, half a mile to a mile away, one location within 600 feet, which is outside of that preferred transit-oriented use distance, because people aren't going to walk 600 feet to get something to eat and then walk back to the bus stop. So this is their only option as far as that's concerned. We have the census tract map for you, which was requested. We'll provide that to you immediately after the presentation. And another question that was posed to us was, what's the percentage of floor area designated for alcohol sales? The percentage floor area is approximately 2% of the floor area is going to be designated for alcohol sales. Certainly there's going to be alcohol that's going to be stored. We didn't count that toward it, but the actual area that's for the sale of merchandise is approximately 2%. Another question that was posed to us was the percentage sales for what we're predicting will be the percentage sales of alcohol for the site. We're predicting about 15%. And a request was made, and Carino and I had discussed this very briefly also. There is MTA property. We're right next to the right-of-way, and there is, for lack of a better term, there's an area that's just unimproved. It's kind of
Sort of a sliver of property right next to it.
Well, the reason it's unimproved, it was improved, it was beautiful, but because the liquor store was selling so much alcohol to the transients, they had to remove all of the foliage. That is the reason it is unimproved.
We were asked by Corino if we could assist in improving that once again.
Yeah, because I mean, it not necessarily to sit down and drink beer,
Of course not.
but sort of what they're offering is sort of a place to sit down as an area within that development site of
Okay.
that hub area, and that would be
Without-
sort of part of the. I mean,
Without the consumption of alcohol,
Yeah.
obviously,
yeah, I mean,
which would be a violation.
yeah. So I mean, it kind of adds more people in that area as far as patrons. Whether to have lunch, breakfast, or dinner. But the question I have for you is, when you get something from 7-Eleven, whether it's water or whatever, you're not supposed to drink on the bus. Is that correct?
Correct.
Correct.
I think we're going to drink water.
Correct.
On the
No,
bus.
no
That-
food or beverage on the bus or the subway.
Well, I think you can't have an open container or anything like that. But
Well, God, no.
yeah, I mean you can have it in a bag, but not to expose. I would.
Well, no open container.
Yeah.
I think you can transport
You can.
anything
You can.
Yeah, transport.
except firearms.
Or
Yeah.
actually, also.
And I promise you,
like-
we're not selling bullets or
I
firearms.
got you.
Well, I
Yeah.
drink Starbucks, and I take my Starbucks when I ride transit, and then no one ever says anything. I have my cup with me.
I take water, so.
Yeah, I
no
mean,
one's ever
it
said-
depends
Yeah.
on what it is that you're consuming.
Yeah.
May I ask you where that piece of land is you're talking about?
It's just south.
If you look at that picture next to
Is it
Michael,
along the bike path?
it's
Right behind that bus.
Yeah,
stand.
it's on the left-hand side. There's like a sidewalk.
That's where the bike path starts up.
Okay, so it's along the bicycle
Yeah,
path?
it's sort of a sliver of dirt that just. The thing that the possibility something could be replaced rather than dirt would be something as an improvement.
One of the things to consider is, in light of the drought and whatnot, is a catch basin. You can have landscaping done that actually recaptures water. And if you integrate it with a gray water system, it reduces your water usage overall in the building. So it'd be aesthetic on the outside because you can plant natives and have a fantastic landscape that no one knows is capturing water, rainwater and whatnot. And you can talk to various vendors and see how you can integrate it and have a gray water system in that area.
Well, the
Well,
first-
integrated with a gray water system overall with your operations. But that area could become a catch basin. It doesn't have to, it can be permeable.
It can allow for percolation.
Yeah.
Soil, and we would be all for that. But we would have to ask your help and the council office's help for this. I spent literally hours on the telephone.
I'd be
with
happy to
MTA.
connect you and facilitate with vendors of anything that you need on that front.
Right. The individual I spoke with, the MTA, that was most helpful, had indicated to me that what you want to do is simply provide the funding to be able to plant the area out. If we were to provide maintenance for this, our maintenance guys that would go out there would have to be bonded, would have to be insured. The gardeners would have to be bonded, they'd have to be insured. And in addition to that, they probably would have to be union. And so they would be the most expensive gardeners in Los Angeles.
Sure,
And it would be cost prohibitive.
that doesn't make sense for that little tiny bit of land. So there's different options that you can have. I'm happy to put you in touch with vendors that are not offering you that service. And also, I can put you in touch with Department of Sanitation's landscaping division and see what projects are already in the works that possibly can benefit that area right there. This area is along a Great Street initiative, I believe. It's north of the
It
Orange
is,
Line.
it is, yes.
So I can also put you in touch with the Great Streets people and see if they can, how hard is it to incorporate into one project a little sliver of land right there.
That
and
property
see-
belongs to the county.
That is
Okay.
a county piece of property, and because I've cleaned that property a million times with the police board, it is a big problem, huge problem. Also, the property, the rear of the parking lot, where I have had to literally go around to the side door to get in because transients are passed out. from the liquor store giving so much liquor bottles on that piece of property. I use that every single day, and I have pictures on my phone of every time I turned in graffiti to 311 because the owner never did it. I did it. And it really, huh?
We've been cleaning up our graffiti.
For the past 2 months, but prior to that, I've been doing it. And I've been out there with Tony Kabunik. So I speak from experience because I've taken the teens out there to clean that. It's shocking.
And the other thing is that if you have that location and you decide to put something there, even if you put plants or shrubs, the problem with that is that they can hide things there. It can be a danger to the store. You find empty bottles, you buy cans. Also, you need to think about adding security video cameras to do that area, because if you have homeless people like to hang out there, the teens know that. They can go there, ask the teens to do a shoulder tap. Hey, will you buy me some alcohol? I'll give you a 20. You keep the change and get me what I want. So if the store owner cannot see that property clearly on their video camera, because they're still responsible for that area, and any kind of sales of alcohol that go on in that area, then that becomes a problem. And if you got a lot of homeless people, and you're telling me you see them there, if you got a lot of homeless that are hanging out there, sleeping there, hanging out, whatever it is, then the teens know that.
So this problem with respect to finding alcohol containers and
The little tiny bottles, they're littered all on that piece to the south of the building. They're constant, so they're selling little bottles. And then I go in and I ask the owner, please get the graffiti cleaned up, not our responsibility. So I am very upset about it.
Just to let you know, Penny's part of CPAP.
I'm co-chairman of the Police Advisory Board, and I have, with Tony Kabunik, with the Bike Patrol, constant problems there.
And this is last 6 months. You've seen
It doesn't matter, it's the same owner, and right now he's applying for a liquor license. So of course, everything is maintained pristinely, but what happens once you get that? That's where I have the issue, and once you get that liquor license, you can never revoke it.
Okay, let me get Maria and then
I'd like to
Valerie.
address that.
If
I may just address that.
Mm-hmm.
So this has been an ongoing problem.
I have taken that bus since the day it started, and I park behind there every day.
We have not sold liquor or any alcoholic beverage at that site for 6 months. So whatever.
But the owner is the same owner.
So whatever liquor bottles, whatever may be there, didn't come from us within the last 6 months. The graffiti, we take care of the graffiti on our portion of the building.
Now you do.
Now that 7-Eleven's taken over.
Yeah.
Well, 7-Eleven's been involved. The changeover has had a dramatic effect. 7-Eleven does play a role. 7-Eleven inspects the inside of the retail establishment as well as the exterior. So what you're probably seeing is 7-Eleven tapping him on the shoulder and saying, you know, we'd like you to see you do a better job.
But he's kind of left an impression with me, and it hasn't been good. And just because you switch to 7-Eleven, he has still left a bad taste in my mouth. I'm the one that did all the cleanups there, not the owner. And I find that offensive because he is our neighbor. And so I have to just tell you how I feel about it, and I'm done.
I appreciate that very much, but I can tell you that with 7-Eleven, they have a role to play here, and 7-Eleven does have substantial oversight. With respect to a conditional use permit, the City of Los Angeles does place limitations with respect to the grant, and so the owner has to live up to those conditions. Those conditions are to keep the area clean and free of any litter also. In addition to that, and these are serious conditions.
But he's had those conditions from day one.
In addition, The City of Los Angeles also places a condition on all conditional use permits that they can actually bring it back and apply more conditions. So you have to keep your nose clean. If you don't keep your nose clean, it's going to be taken away from you, or it's going to be heavily restricted with respect to hours of operation and other restrictions that the City of Los Angeles can place on this. This is not a free-for-all. This is an environment, and I work with these every day. The City of Los Angeles is also establishing a code compliance unit. Paul Koretz has been behind that. I know that Jose Huizar has been behind that. This condition compliance unit is going to go out, especially to liquor stores. They have a condition compliance unit already established, and you're probably very well aware of this, that's been working in K-Town specifically. They've had a huge impact in K-Town. That is going to spread throughout the city. So the city is not the only one who's policing this business from this point forward. It is 7-Eleven that's policing this business. And you have to operate as a responsible franchisee. If you want to keep this business, he has a $500,000 investment that he could lose. And so I think that there are enough precautions in the system which would make sure that the grant would be lived up to.
Let me get Maria and then Valerie.
Please do.
I have a few questions to clarify exactly. Where will be the expansion?
There is no expansion.
There's no expense.
What happened was that the business owner had purchased the business in 2004 in its current configuration. He'd gone to Alcoholic Beverage Control. They had issued the new license at that point in time. The City of Los Angeles at that point in time, when he purchased the business and transferred the license, did not ask him to go through a conditional use permit process. And it was a deemed to be approved license. It's 50 years old. They had erred in doing so. Now that he's coming in for the transfer with 7-Eleven, they're now asking him to go through the process 10 years later. So that's the reason for the conditional use permit. But it is an existing license. It's been there for many, many, many years.
What's the existing license, the alcohol license?
The alcohol license.
But not the approved use?
No, the use is by right. It's the alcohol that is the discretionary approval.
So you're going through this because you really don't have a CUP for alcohol sales at that location?
None.
It means that it's a deemed to be approved license. And it means that it was granted prior to the CUP process.
Okay.
We're essentially cleaning it up right now and bringing it into conformity.
Okay,
It's
well,
stating that it's grandfathered in, right?
Okay.
Somewhat.
So my other question is,
Not anymore.
as part
Not
of,
anymore.
as part of 7-Eleven's lease agreement, would you have exterior security cameras
Yes, and we do, and
at all points where there could be
we do.
exterior security?
Absolutely, and we will adhere to whatever requirements that the zoning administrator places in the form of a condition. So if they want to see extra security cameras, higher definition, or whatever the case, we will provide that.
And I just want to confirm that the other board member, I too have been calling for over 10 years on the graffiti removal for that property owner for his site. Many people have been calling on behalf of the property owner who over the more than 10 years, 15 years that I can record, has been receiving concierge cleanup on behalf of the taxpayers for his graffiti removal.
Yes, he has.
So I would, as part of any kind of agreement, that mitigating, that should be put in as a mitigating, that within the day, the property owner must do his own graffiti removal and not depend on taxpayer-provided so-called free graffiti removal. There's no such thing, it's not free.
There is a condition that the conditional use permit, I'm sure, will place on the grant, and that is that any graffiti has to be removed within 24 hours. But I'm also aware, in speaking to the senior lead officer, that graffiti is an issue up and down Van Nuys Boulevard, terrible issue.
Yes,
And also on the Orange Line as well.
Yeah.
yes. Well, every person has to bear their own burden and do their own cleanup. I don't expect the owner to come and clean up my problems on my property, nor should the business owner expect the taxpayers or the community members to do his cleanup. And as also regarding the crime statistics, you can get those from the ABC. They're
ABC
readily
did not provide
available.
them. They didn't provide them. I actually spoke to a licensing representative, and they did not provide me with the crime statistics. And I wanted actually more specific crime statistics also to bring into this body. And I'll be more than happy to provide those to Karina also regarding the site specifically because.
I want to get Valerie
ahead,
and
please
then
do. Go ahead.
Sandy and
Hi,
Penny.
I'm actually a customer at this 7-Eleven. I probably go there 4 times a week. I live within 2 blocks of this place. My son takes the Orange Line every morning at 6 a.m. And I will say that the staff inside seems pleasant. They're always pleasant. They seem well-trained. The store's impeccable inside. But the minute you step outside, it's such a trash bin. And I'm looking at this picture and I see 3 trash cans. They're very, very close to the front door. They're always emptied and clean. But when I walk there in the evening or when I'm over at the Orange Line, there's 7-Eleven boxes littered everywhere. And I'm wondering if the owner doesn't hold some responsibility to the garbage that's littered within 500, 600, 700 feet of his location. And when you drive down Van Nuys Boulevard, you're essentially entering Van Nuys. This is the eyesore that you see. I don't know if it's MTA or if it's 7-Eleven, but it's outrageous. Even the old, I think it's a Chevrolet dealership that's right on the right there. There must be 500 hot dog boxes from 7-Eleven. The little space you're talking about, if there is little bottles there now, certainly when the liquor license comes, there'll be more. But I'm just wondering, doesn't he hold some responsibility other than his immediate front area? And there is homeless there. I mean, that's a much bigger issue. I personally feel safe when I walk there. I've never seen a sheriff, a police, a bicycle police. I've never seen that. Maybe they're undercover, like you said. But it's really the trash that's a problem. And as you said earlier, most people pick up